Alright, you guys ready?
And
3, 2, 1. Hello everyone and welcome to Popcorn Peeps. This is our special Halloween episode. Normally, we check out the top 100 films of all time as per the Hollywood Reporter, but today, as per our Instagram vote, we checked out A Quiet Place because it was spooky and we needed some spook in Spooktober. I'm joined today by Captain Craig Moore.
that's me.
Sea Captain Chris McMullen.
Ahoy, mateys!
And John McClane.
Yeah.
Mr. Oh!
The tone is set.
Ow, my nipples. No, stop. And I am Jordan Costa as the Hyperlight Drifter. So we just checked out A Quiet Place.
Yes.
First impressions. Were you spooked? And what did you think?
It was a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be, and I thought it would be a lot spookier. There were a couple little jump scares, but overall, I didn't think it was that bad.
Chris, what do you think about the spook level?
The spook? What? No.
No spook?
There was a couple good jump scares, but it wasn't scary.
Zero spooky.
Craig, what about the spook level?
So it had a few good jump scares. I would say that it was more mysterious,
Yes.
more thrilling. There was a lot of tension in the movie. I wouldn't necessarily say it was a horror or a scary movie by any stretch.
It was a high suspense.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah.
But like, it's akin to any like slasher film, like if the Freddy versus or not, what is it? Is it
Yeah.
Friday the 13th where there's like an axe guy at the camp and all the kids are running around trying to hide? That's a horror movie, and this is essentially a reskinned version of that.
This was.
Just- With
No,
an
that doesn't
alien.
follow the formula at all.
I think this is a little bit more like man versus nature than man versus man that you see in typical horror.
Yeah, it's not like a psychopath that's following them around. It's this mysterious
Figuring stuff
creature.
out. It's if you want to talk about reskin, it's Alien.
I haven't seen that movie. Is
No.
Alien on the list?
Alien is on the list.
Okay, I'll come back to that.
But yeah, it's like you don't see the monster. The monster is scary. You don't understand what the monster
Yeah.
is.
I was really concerned we weren't going to get a good look at the monster, but I thought the movie was way more fun because we got to see how cool this monster design was.
True.
Like, that was spooky.
It was really well done. And it was cool, as you said, how we got the close-up and you could see how its ear functioned and how its whole head expanded when it was
The
trying
monster
to
was pretty
listen.
epic.
I was concerned when they showed us the monster because I know a lot of monster movies that don't show you the monster. That can be a really good way to do the movie. But in this movie, I was really satisfied with the monster.
Yes.
The way that the monster reacts to sound, and it shows you how dangerous the monster is with all its fangs and sharp and strength and speed. It sold it. Helps sell it.
I agree.
Yeah, and just the noises it makes. The sound design was so good. The creaking and the little, like, animalistic ticks and the snarls and stuff.
Yeah.
They were super good.
I think that was me.
Yeah, I'm sorry the monster wasn't going like you were. I'm like, either Chris or the dog is sleeping. Someone please throw something on the right side of the room.
Yeah, I think it left enough suspense because for the first portion of it, we thought it was a spider because you weren't really sure what it was. But yeah, it kind of developed. You got a better look further into the movie. You got
Lanky boy.
it was just the legs.
I like those hands. The hand claws were awesome.
This thing would be good as fuck at basketball.
Well, there's no problem.
How? I couldn't see anything.
It has only a claw for its hands. I think that might be an input.
Deflates the ball.
It just had really long arms, and I just picture this thing in Space Jam dunking.
Foul delay game.
He walks on the court, murders everyone. T-Rex is the ball after that.
How do you think you would do in A Quiet Place?
I would instantly kill myself.
Yes,
Intentionally to avoid the future.
I agree. I would 100% not have a baby.
Yeah.
I would make a stupid joke and then I'd laugh at my own joke and I would literally joke myself to death.
You just see it coming to you, you're like, it was
Yeah,
worth it.
Worth
Worth it.
Could any of us be quiet long enough to survive? I don't think so.
I could do pretty well.
Could you imagine? There's
Could you? I don't know.
Some poor sucker's been quiet for 3 years. He's managed to survive, and then he just rips a loud fart and comes out of the woods and fucking tackles him.
They don't.
Yeah, they don't address that. That is a loophole now that you say it.
Jordan would say something and you would go, Jordan!
Yeah.
What did you guys think of our characters?
I liked them all except the little girl. I thought they all did a really great job displaying, I guess, the desperation, and it snaps forward, 400 days from where it kicks off, and how they've adjusted. And I think it worked out well. They were an ideal family for it, as we discussed, because they seemed to already know sign language because they had their deaf child, and they had medical supplies and farming skills. Like, they were keen for this.
Like, guys, there's no ramen left. What do I do? How do I grow
Just
Mr.
start
Noodle?
eating bugs.
I like the characters. I especially like John Krasinski's character. He was believable. His emotions seemed very surfaceable and relatable.
Yes.
And with the almost complete lack of dialogue in the movie, it can be really hard to communicate that with an audience. I think he did a great job.
We don't know any of their names, do we?
No.
I don't know if they had names.
I kind of like that, though.
I'm sure they had sign name, like they would sign names.
Yeah, but we
I
never
don't
once
think we
heard their
ever
names.
them.
Like, so when we say that
Father, mother,
the dad
daughter,
character, we're not being stupid for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's cool, though, because it shows that you can really humanize somebody and connect with somebody without knowing something as personal as a name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I really wanted from this film is Emily Blunt to be replaced with Jenna Fischer, and this to be the sequel to The Office. And it would be Jim and Pam running from the aliens.
They would die.
Do you want me
They
to shoot
had
him or
awful-
shoot you?
No, not again.
That's an awful take, Jordan.
When John Krasinski gets eaten, I'm like, Dwight's gonna be so upset.
I thought Emily Blunt was amazing in this.
yeah.
She did a good job.
I love Emily
Yeah,
Blunt. I think
especially-
she's incredible.
Conveying all you had to convey, basically, just physically. She did a great job.
She stepped on a nail, and
Oh.
I felt like I stepped on a nail.
Yeah.
Also, the nail. I think we have to talk about that as a
Oh,
character.
That's
Great
the most
S tier character.
very memorable character. We talked about this relentlessly when we watched the film, but if you ever see a nail sticking straight up of any of your floorboards, hammer that fucker down.
Yeah,
You
it's
can't.
cool.
The
can't
monster's
make
gonna
noise.
come.
You can grab some
we just
pliers and
bend
bend it. You know, grab some vice grips and bend the sucker down.
There's
Oh,
a big
that's like
red
killing the
blood
best
pattern
character.
around it. Just watch where you step.
Yeah.
Don't step in the
Killing
pool
off a
of
main
blood.
character.
Yeah.
Is what you should-
Be less stupid. It's a giant nail with blood around it.
It'd be really funny if every time someone entered in that room, they stepped on the nail, and the monster does it at the end.
The monster should have.
And it was 3 minutes of a Peter Griffin.
No, I think the adult actors did a really good job. A lot of
What
the
did you not like about the daughter?
This is my issue with a lot of child actors, is they're annoying.
I don't even think it's the child actor that's annoying, though. I
It's
think it's
just
the way
children.
children are written in movies that it's just irritating.
They do
Yes.
this. Well,
And maybe kids are just irritating.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have any kids, but
I don't.
I thought John Krasinski and Emily Blunt did an amazing job. A lot of their performance that I was so impressed by was the range of emotion they could show in their face, because there's not a lot of like spoken work. So you're trying to connect with how someone's feeling, and all you can go based off is their facial expression and the tension that the film has built, and just looking at the way they wince and they grit their teeth and whatnot. It is a great performance.
Just a second. Better love story than Braveheart.
yeah, I
give him
agree.
that.
I absolutely agree.
I don't know if it
This
was.
is a Craig love story.
You don't
for-
know if it was.
Okay,
was.
I'm very angry that these two decided, like, oh yeah, we could keep the human race going. We need a baby.
Yeah, that's a big
See,
whoops.
when a man and a woman really like each other, sometimes they have urges, especially in very stressful situations, that cause them to make bad decisions.
I don't know, man. This guy seemed like a pretty hardcore survivalist.
Yeah, and we saw that they had access to a drugstore. It's like steal a pack of Magnums or something.
Yeah,
Maybe
come
they
on,
just
man.
didn't
Probably
like the-
expired.
It still works.
It was like a year and a half later. It would provide some sort of assistance.
I don't.
Yeah, they probably have the wherewithal when they're out in the thing to like, no, we don't need condoms, we're not going to have sex. And then they're snuggling up later and they're like spooning and
We
then...
lost one child. We better make
Yeah.
another.
Wow.
I don't know. I feel like the existential dread weighing down upon you might.
It's a super aphrodisiac? Agree.
Oh, it's definitely the opposite.
What's wrong with you people? Yeah, okay, good.
I'm just saying the fear of impending doom does not get me riled up.
Oh, that's because you're a fucking normie.
So what did you guys think of the sound design in the film?
I thought it was really well done, especially taking the hearing aid into, or is it a cochlear
implant.
cochlear implant
Cochlear?
I prefer cock.
Yeah, I know you do, which is why I'm correcting
taking
you.
the implant into consideration, having like the sound and the screeching, that would have been, I think, really difficult to coordinate. And I watched one movie this past year, The Sound of Metal. It was nominated for the Academy Award, and it was the same thing about an implant and a guy who's a drummer in a heavy metal band. And that kind of stuff is really interesting, I think, trying to translate that into film.
I think it was really interesting to have the secret weapon or the kryptonite be sound, considering the whole movie is themed around it. It felt like it made it more of a cohesive package. It didn't feel like some arbitrary solution. No. It felt like it was nicely weaved in. And the sound design was great. Opening up with that scene in the drugstore where everyone is...
Where there's no noise at all.
There's no noise at all. There's no sound. And it's such a contrast compared to everything you see that just... Like, you're literally drawn to it because it's nothing. And you're like, oh, this is different. This is new. This is weird or whatever. And it makes every little moment from that point on that differentiates from that norm stressful, tense.
Yeah, you're right. It does. It catches the you get into that thing of we got to be quiet.
Yeah, you like feel it. Like I was like eating Smarties. I'm like, I better not rustle these around.
Even after the movie, after we were done watching the movie, we were pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Yes.
I saw this in the theater originally. It was so quiet in the theater.
And when people are walking out, I imagine it was still quiet.
It was still,
people weren't talking
like,
to each other.
It wasn't
saying,
like the
like,
gregarious, not at all.
Oh, I liked that movie. I liked so and so. It was
Yeah.
probably just people quietly walking out of the theater. I thought that was really good. One of the things they did really well was leading up to the when the kid's playing with the spaceship. It's dead quiet for the entire film up until the point where the kid starts playing with this toy that's making a lot of noise. And when that happens, it grabs your attention so that you can feel the way that the characters felt was like, holy crap, that's loud.
Yeah.
Setting the status quo at 0 decibels, it makes even the most mundane sounds feel like jarring and tense and alarming. And that moment that you hear that first sound, I was like, all right, my butt's clenched. What's going on?
Yeah.
What's going down here? We're about to see some fucked up shit.
And did we see him do that first, or was it we were further at the parents and we just heard it and saw their faces and then they turned back again?
You hear a little rustling as it falls off the shelf, and then the
I mean when he
dark
put the
hits
batteries
it.
in.
So you see it. What you see is the family walking in a line,
Yeah.
and you can see the little kid has the toy just in the very distance. You can see it kind of faded a little bit. This kid has the toy in his hands, and then I believe it was Krasinski's face covers up the kid.
Yeah.
And then you hear it.
And then just his
facial expression of like, what?
He gently sets down his sick kid and just turns and runs.
Yeah, it was so incredibly. It was a masterpiece of a scene.
really well done.
And then just the kid's gone.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
That needed to happen. It set the stakes early.
Yeah.
So I don't watch a lot of spooky films, so I don't really have an understanding of like what is traditional and what is breaking tradition. But I think wrecking that kid immediately, it sets stakes and it sets a tone, and it lets you know that okay, like people can die. Like a lot of media main characters have plot armor, right? So setting that standard, you now know okay, anyone's fair game. And they killed off their main character, which I think is really cool and doesn't happen a lot, and I like that they did that.
How much therapy is this little girl going to need, though, knowing she's the one that gave the little spaceship to her brother with the batteries after they took it out, and then she could have saved her dad, but she turned her hearing aid off.
I don't understand why she turned like.
I don't
Because
think
it hurt her head.
she hadn't put it together yet.
But did
put
she
it
not realize
together.
why she was still alive?
No.
Like there was only one variable being changed.
No, she thought her dad.
She's like 6 or 7 years old.
You have to remember the first time that it
She's
happened,
like 13
she
or 14.
She didn't even see the
excuse.
monster. She didn't even know it was there the first time it happened. In the cornfield, when it was creeping up behind her, all she knew was she was looking through the cornfield at this flashlight, and then all of a sudden it was like splitting pain in her head. And then the monster freaked out and ran away. So she didn't know that this was...
We knew way before she
We
did.
knew,
Yeah, that's what made Dad's death so... upsetting.
Yeah, because it was
'Cause
not only preventable, but like if she had done nothing,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I guess
But
so.
then at the same time, she was in pain. I don't know.
It's tough.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was like really good tension. Like it
I
was
thought so.
great.
It's very tense. What did you guys think of the fact that in most stories there's a solution, there's an escape plan, there's a goal, and the goal in this film was just to exist as long as possible? Did that like there was no real driving force other than survive? Were you okay with that?
So we should talk about the setting.
Yeah.
And I think it was great for you to bring up, because if there's one thing humans are good at, it's killing things. Like absolutely just fucking extincting
That's
shit.
not what I thought you were going to say. But
And
even-
if noise attracts these animals, imagine how much noise the United States military can make firing machine guns from helicopters at the ground. So the point is to survive, but I don't even understand how we got here.
So
Because
yeah.
bombs are loud.
There's no way
Yeah.
this setting could ever exist in a modern context, right? You have a bazillion countries, all with nuclear weapons, a gazillion gunships, and you could kill this thing with a shotgun.
Yeah.
I think what would have made the film
you
more
can't kill it with a shotgun until it like freaks out and its head's open. That's the whole thing.
It didn't show us that.
Oh, yeah, because it
That's
said
what
it
the
has
armor
armor.
exclamation point was, or question mark
So
was.
when its head is open.
On the board. It was literally on the board.
Yeah.
I thought that was him writing. Okay, I agree with you,
Okay.
but I thought he was writing that down, saying like, "Is there a way that I can wear armor?"
No, that was in it.
Shenanigans?
That was in it.
Okay.
What's about it versus and how do we survive?
Okay.
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
he dies fighting it like a knight.
Yeah, with
a
He
sword.
gets this on.
Yeah, he's wearing my outfit.
when I saw that with the armor, I was like, I don't think Kevlar vest is gonna do it here.
When they're saying is that the critters,
Right,
are
that makes
armor.
sense.
So
So like I think like a shotgun blast
Yeah.
when their head isn't open, exposing all their audio equipment, I guess, wouldn't do
And
anything.
how would you even get to the point to figure out that you have to be silent?
Yeah. Well, that was the newspaper articles, right? 24 pound.
But until then,
It
I'm
sounds
making
like they didn't
noise.
even know.
Why wouldn't it come from? Yeah, until the.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the whole point. Like they're like the damage was done before they even realized what was attracting them.
Well, they would have landed in Mexico, and so the
that where they-
Mexicans would have got obliterated. And then maybe by the point there's 6 people left in Mexico, someone finally figured it out. So by the time they get to the States and they roam across the continent, you have a little bit more knowledge.
I don't
Every
know.
redneck with a shotgun would have been standing at the border.
Get off my fucking lawn!
Like the world would have been saved.
I don't know.
By the rednecks with the shotguns
I
at
think
their
that if they hit
Arizona
Juarez,
border.
they might have had some opposition.
Okay, so that makes sense. So in a modern, you're thinking they're like the cockroach, or like a hyper-evolved cockroach, and they probably tried to nuke the shit out of them, fire their machine guns, and just nothing was working because they didn't have the
Yeah.
weakness exposed. Okay.
You also can't nuke cities to like. I don't think
You can't.
If I
Well,
saw one of if I saw one of these things
can't
and it was
nuke
in a city of a
American
million
cities.
You
people,
can't nuke cities anymore.
if I saw one of these in like downtown Chicago, I'm like destroy the whole thing.
No,
Launch.
I don't
Take
think.
'em out.
Yeah. There'd be a lot of urban combat and stuff. That'd be,
Yeah, I
that'd
know,
be
I
a
just-
cool prequel.
I would like to know, and I understand you need to suspend some disbelief in films like this, but it would be interesting to know how the world got to a state where families of 4 are roaming the countryside silently trying to evade these things when, like, you can delete a city with a push of a button from the other side of the planet.
And we don't see anybody else. We see that
Oh,
one
yeah.
other family where the husband maybe killed the wife, something happened, but they're the only 2 other people that you see.
Oh,
as
but don't forget about the lights.
Campfires.
There were every night they would go up and light. That the reason he was lighting on that tower.
Yeah,
There were if you looked in the distance, there were fires of other people saying we're still here too.
like Lord of the Rings.
Light the beacon.
Hey, it was like the
beacons
beacons,
of
but it
God.
didn't take 3 fucking hours.
Yeah,
And,
that's
look,
why.
and I didn't
Ben,
notice
That's why we
it.
didn't notice.
Is that the problem? I actually pay attention so I don't need shit driven into me.
Oh my god! Don't even.
I thought that there was a lot of Titanic imagery in this movie. When she was in the shower and you just see her hand slap up on the glass and come down right at a Titanic. When they're in the grain silo or corn silo and the thing is there and he's on the what is it, the metal door.
Yes, that was.
And she's drowning. I was like, that's Titanic.
So the hand thing I didn't get because weren't they having sex?
Yeah, but
It
it's still the
it wasn't
hand
a
on
bloody
the...
hand. I think
I know, but it's still
took
the
me other
hand
places.
on
But
the
yes,
glass.
Still the
100.
same.
Hey, did
Yeah.
you notice that they both could fit on that door?
Yeah.
Huh, weird.
So, A Quiet Place 2 is coming out relatively soon. Any interest in checking out the sequel?
I would, because I am curious. It left it on quite a bit of a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
Just they're coming into the house. Emily Blunt has her shotgun, and they have a hearing aid and a baby.
I don't even think it does end. Like, we're just left in the middle of
Yeah,
nowhere.
I that goes back to your earlier questions. What is the end?
Yeah.
Are they going to be defeated by this little girl with her hearing aid across the world? How are they getting that message out? I don't know. But I would see it, and I'd hope that the sequel might go into the backstory a little bit more too.
Yeah, I could see a prequel as much as I'd want to see a.
Yes.
I think I'd rather see a prequel
Yeah.
than a sequel,
that's-
because I can see a path to defeating the monsters now that they know what their kryptonite is.
Yeah, because they've been like they've doing
Morse
code over speakers, but you can just go, hey, play this.
Yeah, now you just go into you just like crank up your stereo, and I'm going to play a frequency that is going to make them open their heads and then shoot them in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do an edit where she holds her thing up to the microphone, but instead of that frequency, it's Kanye playing, and he just goes, "Fuck!"
I thought you were going to say that Rick Roll thing.
That's
Oh,
it.
please don't do that.
In terms of a sequel, I almost feel like not having a sequel makes the story better because this was cool. I like these vertical slices of greater experiences. You take this global catastrophe and you focus it as closely as you can on this one group of survivors experiencing this. I don't think the solution or the beginning is nearly as important as like the human experience going through this. And I think it really highlights that. I think anything moving forward would be more of like a World War Z action style film now that they have the secret.
Yeah.
They're traveling, they're getting out there. I think you totally have to change the tone now to pivot the story forwards and build it more like an action movie than like a tense kind of surreal
for sure.
humanist experience.
So without knowing that there was a sequel coming, with how it ended, do you think they would have gotten out of there with just the two of them?
I don't think it matters.
Okay.
I think it's just a snapshot at what life would be like in this chaotic scenario. And I think it provided enough cool, artsy film techniques and storytelling and emotional storytelling that it was totally enjoyable, even if it doesn't have an ending.
Yeah.
I watch a buttload of anime, and it's all adapted. Sarah, it's all adapted
Can't just do
from
one fucking house.
like novels and comic books. And so,
not gonna
oftentimes,
say
a series will get like a 12-episode run, and you'll get the first third of a show or whatever, and you'll never get an ending. So honestly, it doesn't strike me as weird that there isn't an ending because I'm almost like climatized to it now. Yeah, that may be frustrating for people who are used to having a conclusive ending, but
Sure.
given the media I consume, this felt fine.
If there's a sequel, a direct sequel, and it's not this family driving around with the radio with a cassette plugged in and this
Yeah.
frequency at high voltage, just cranking it out, volume up to 11, like there's no. Oh, I guess we'll see when it comes out, but it doesn't feel like there's anywhere to go from here.
It feels more like season 3 of Walking Dead. That's what we need to see.
What we need to
That
see
means
is them
nothing.
finding Tallahassee from Zombieland, the Twinkie guy. Who's that guy played by?
Woody
Never
Harrelson?
seen
Woody Harrelson.
Oh.
Get him on board. And then we gotta film. Ah, no.
Ready? We can do it both together.
Don't shoot. No, I'm kidding. But that would be the worst sequel.
I think the second movie is going to be where you see the real problem is not the monsters but people. I think that's what we're going to see.
That would be pretty interesting. I would like to see that.
That's the
Because that's always the more
seen a
interesting
trailer.
part of like zombie movies. Isn't that zombies are bad? It's that humans are the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see that.
a little like Last of Us style.
Some more competing for survival, kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think that'll be the way it goes.
Maybe there'll be some. Oh, sorry. Maybe there'll be some group. What the fuck? Maybe there'll be some group that has actually managed to profit off of this. Like they have an oasis, they've harvested all of the resources, and they don't want to see a solution to this problem because they've basically built a kingdom for themselves that's free from them, and like maybe they're like blocking people from entering and
Yeah.
trying to stop the main characters from kind of crumbling their empire. Do you guys want to talk about some of your favorite scenes?
Sure.
You want to go ahead, Sarah?
My favorite scene was when Emily Blunt was giving birth in the bathtub. I just thought that was really well done, how it kind of panned up her whole body and her face was crazy. And then Fun fact is she did that in one take, which I thought is pretty impressive.
The cinematography was really good. The way they moved the camera around the room, it was just, it was creative. How about you, Chris?
The scene where they're dancing and they put the earpods in so they can both hear the music.
That was really cute.
So like music isn't gone from the world. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any meaning to like playing Harvest Moon for them and in that universe, or is it just a song that they both?
I think it's just a nice twangy. Who is that?
Willie Nelson? No,
it's
Neil Young.
Thank you. Canadian.
Hey!
What would be really cool is if you had a surround sound setup, and since you only had one ear in, like if it only played on like the left speakers or whatever, and the right ones are playing nothing, and so you can kind of emulate what he's hearing.
That would be pretty cool.
Get this guy a job in sound.
Audio engineer.
What's yours, Jordan?
Any scene with my favorite character, the fucking nail. that nail comes on screen. Doesn't even have to be on screen. You're in the room with the nail, and I'm like, does anyone fix that fucking nail yet? The nail better not be fucking up still. Anyone go down the stairs? I'm like, whoa, the nail. I don't know. It's just
I was really hoping that monster was going to step on that nail.
Yes,
that
100%.
When Emily Blunt steps on it, I winced, I cried. I thought it was worse than the ear cutting from Reservoir Dogs.
Yes.
You didn't see anything. You didn't see the ear.
It was still...
It didn't come out of the top of her foot, did it?
No.
I thought it looked like there was a point because I thought it was going
made the
to.
skin.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
no,
it
that
was-
was...
My foot hurts, and it didn't even happen.
This was barely a PG movie for me.
And the setup was good, too, because you see the nail, and for the next 15 minutes, you're like, who's
Nail.
stepping on that fucking nail?
It was because there's this layer of suspense from the nail, which is kind of permeating under the whole suspense of like not making a sound. It gets you. It's a 2 for
It's
1.
a Chekhov's gun, well
Yeah.
executed.
Oh, yeah.
Show me the nail, use the nail.
How about you, Craig?
My favorite scene was right towards the beginning with that little kid who just wanted to play with the spaceship. And because he drew the rocket on the floor, and the rocket kind of symbolized his hope of being able to escape these monsters. Just wanted to play with the spaceship. And this little 4-year-old kid who obviously doesn't know any better, he's just a 4-year-old kid walking along and pew, pew, pew.
It's like an injection of innocence into the film.
Yeah.
And what it gets you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll teach you.
That'll teach you to be innocent.
Stupid little 4-year-old.
Yeah, you learn fast, grow up fast, or you become a raptor fooder. This felt a little bit reminiscent of Jurassic Park, I felt. Like when they were hiding and it was lurking around, it felt very similar to when they're in the lab and they're like ducking behind the counters and like juking around and the raptors kind of sniffing for them.
I guess. I think it's still closer to Alien than anything.
I still haven't seen that movie though.
Seen it.
We'll see. We'll watch it later.
I've seen Jurassic Park. I like Jurassic Park. I think this movie executed that scene better than Jurassic Park did.
I think so.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
I think this movie's better than Jurassic Park. No offense.
That said, this movie had the opportunity to learn from Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
There's always
So-
that.
What did you guys think about how this film compares to some of the greatest films of all time that we've been watching? If this came up on our list for Popcorn Peeps, would you feel like it was grossly out of place?
I'd say it's comparable to some of the films on the list.
I thought it was good.
Better than Deer Hunter.
Especially because of the way that they used sound. The sound engineering in the film was very creative, very well done. The characters portrayed emotion very well to the audience without being able to really speak, which was incredible. This might be the closest thing on our list to a silent movie.
I always think
Very
about that now.
Yeah, I think this definitely could have made the Hollywood Reporter's top 100 movies, but I don't know because like Ghostbusters made it. So, but I don't know if I would put it on there. Like I wouldn't have voted for it if I was part of it.
I have to admit, I like this one better than Ghostbusters.
That's good.
Yeah,
So this goes in your top 10.
I guess it does.
Yeah.
There you go.
But we're only 25 in.
Yeah.
True.
Fair.
I think what this film does so well doesn't lend itself to being on a list like this. A lot of what we've seen has had mass cultural appreciation. It's been able to withstand the test of time. Like realistically, nobody remembers this movie, even though it's only 2 years old. Like you'd be like, "Oh
I
yeah,"
totally remember this movie. I remembered like scenes from it.
but like it's not. It's never gonna remain in the public eye. Like people aren't tweeting about it. It has no presence anywhere. People aren't writing video essays about it. People aren't playing with the action
Yes.
figures.
It didn't really make its way into popular culture.
No.
I don't think this has a cult following, though it's hard to tell that.
You can't tell that in 2 years, yeah.
This quickly to its release. So I understand what you're saying. I don't know. Time hasn't told yet whether or not this will affect cinema in any way. I think it has the potential to, with the way that especially the way that it used sound and silence, and the way that it related this family who knew sign language because they had a daughter who was hearing impaired or deaf. Our culture is being much more accepting and understanding of people with disabilities. It's possible that this movie might be used later on as a case study for how to do that in film in a good way. So time hasn't told yet whether it belongs on the list, I think.
And I do like when you told me that it was the girl actually was deaf.
Yeah, she was.
She wasn't an able-bodied person.
No, she was born deaf. Yeah.
I guess maybe I'm thinking like one of my films I preferred less was Deer Hunter, and I'm thinking like, well, why does Deer Hunter get a spot on a list like this, and why wouldn't this? And I think it has a lot to do with like the themes, like it's about like a real military war or whatever, about the effects of post-traumatic stress and whatnot, and this film doesn't really touch on a lot of that. I think where this film excels is it shows like how films should be made. It's talking about sound design, not a real human conflict. It's about cinematography. It's not about a war in Iraq.
Oh, come on. Deer Hunter was all the war stuff was tacked on to Deer Hunter. It was bullshit.
All right. Well,
but even if you look at sound design, I'll put it back to Sound of Metal, which was a whole movie just around a cochlear implant and this guy losing his hearing. And I thought that was so much better than this, that I don't know if this would be something they would look back to show that. Yeah, wouldn't be on my top 100, but wasn't either. I didn't find it too spooky either.
Yeah, we can break.
It was not even remotely spooky.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up the show, we'd like to extend a special thank you to our supporters on Patreon.com. If you would like to support the show, you can check us out. There'll be a link on popcornpeeps.com as well as at the top of the YouTube video. But special thank you to Tyler Laporte, Erica Wilson, Ask McButtface, Sarah Renier, Frank Costa, Ryan Saranen, Jim Wamsley, and Travis Laporte. Your support is greatly appreciated. This episode will be going up in place of our special 25th episode featuring Brokeback Mountain. However, once this is launched, Brokeback will be coming out shortly. We thank you very much for your patience and look forward to seeing you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Nice. I thought that was good.
Oh, I don't know why I don't need to shoot anyone anymore.
Oh.